There are certain predictions you can make about the upcoming Big 12 football season with near certainty. Kansas, for example, likely to finish last. Iowa State, probably finishing ninth. Beyond that, it's a very wide open race, and I guess that's what makes predicting this kind of stuff in the preseason a lot of fun. Texas Tech and West Virginia, to me, are the teams most likely to finish 7th and 8th, although both those teams have high ceilings. Texas Tech brings back more starters than most teams in the country. West Virginia always seems to have upside if they can get things rolling on offense. So don't rule out 7-8 win type of season from those two teams. It just wouldn't be a stretch to also see them fighting for bowl eligibility late into the year. The next group, I've got Kansas State and Texas, two teams that have a little bit more potential than that last group, but also a higher floor. I think Kansas State, if things break their way, could get 8, 9, maybe even 10 wins if things really go their way, and their quarterback play is better than a lot of people anticipate. Texas, kind of in the same boat. If they can get what they want out of Tyrone Swoops and break through with a little bit more mobile offense, that could be a team that surprises people as well. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are the two kind of wild cards in the whole bunch. If Baker Mayfield can turn that air raid offense into something special at Oklahoma, the schedule is favorable early on. It's not a stretch to see them starting even 9-0. So if they could do something like that, they'd be in it until the end. Their schedule is very backloaded, though. Oklahoma State has a lot of momentum going for them after the way they finished last season. They've got a quarterback they really like. The schedule also is pretty good to them with the hardest teams in the conference coming to Stillwater. So you can't rule them out either, but the biggest question of all, of course, is who's going to win the conference. And the two teams that are in the running for it that everybody thinks is going to win are two teams that a lot of people would not have predicted 10, 15 years ago when the Big 12 was just starting out. Baylor has been one of the most forlorn teams of the Big 12 before Art Briles got there. They hardly ever won. TCU hasn't been in the Big 12 but a few years. But this year they're the kings of the conference. It's a fun time to watch these small private schools from Texas kind of take over. Baylor's won the last two Big 12 championships. They shared the last one with TCU, and they had an epic game in Waco, which Baylor barely won, and caused them to share the title. This year, things shift to Fort Worth. That's where their game is going to be. Probably the biggest game in the Big 12. Definitely the biggest game in the Big 12. Maybe the biggest game of the year in all of college football. And with that in mind, that's my prediction. I think TCU is going to win the conference by a slim margin. I think they beat Baylor head-to-head in Fort Worth, and that helps them carry through. Baylor has a little bit more upside to me. Their offense with Briles and company has a little bit more firepower, but they've also shown a tendency to stub their toe where other teams wouldn't. Last year they lost to West Virginia. They always kind of seem to have a one game in there where they lose. You wouldn't expect it. TCU is kind of the opposite. If you're going to beat TCU, you just got to go out and beat them. I think that will play to their advantage as the season goes on.